Hey guys and girls, we live. I hope you're all well on this magical Monday with our beautiful Bryce again. And it's so good to have you back, and welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa. If you haven't already, please give us a like, a share, and a subscribe. As we've been saying, we've been struck down recently and building up again. And find us on Rumble as well for all our not Rumble, ODYSEE for all our back recordings as well. We are loading some of them onto Rumble, the new channel onto Rumble that we're moving over to. But in the meantime, please give us a like, a share, and a subscribe on both Aquarius Rising Africa and Solutions Aquarius Rising Africa. Lots of information, lots of awesome new things coming up, which we're going to be telling you about. But today we have Bryce, and we are talking again the 6th and 7th books of, hang on, wait, I wrote it here. Moses. Yeah, and the Sphynx Prophecy. So I'm super excited to hear about these things. Over to you, gorgeous. How are you? How was your weekend? How's life there in the deep south?
Oh, it's hot as hell. I've been sweating like a whore at church. It's just so hot here. That's what we say down here in the south. I'm sweating like a whore in church. But it's raining today, so it's a little cooler today. So yeah, it's that time of year where you're going to be changing your clothes multiple times a day because y'all know you're in Africa. You know that type of heat where you just.
Oh, I wish I could have some of that now, because as you can tell, look my blankets. It's chilly chills.
And we say down here in the south, Southern girls don't sweat. We glisten. We just glisten.
Yeah, you just glow.
No, I sweat. I sweat like a 300-pound man with gland problems. So yeah, so it's hot, but it's raining today. So that's kind of nice. We get a little bit of a break from the heat. But I'm getting fed up. I grew up here in the South, but every summer it's just like, oh God, here it comes. Like, it's just like burning inferno of hell when you step outside. But thank God for air conditioning, some modern conveniences. But I'm super excited about this subject today. This is a big one. And I want to really tell everybody I'm really good at research. I know that, because I love it. I love these weird stories. I actually enjoy researching them because I find them fascinating. But with that being said, the reason why I started my channel was so when we started coming into this awakening, I could share information and get feedback from other people. Like, it was more of a place where my favorite Ram Dass quote, we're all just walking each other home. We're all having to untangle these deceptive lies that have been spoon-fed to us for generations now. And I am obviously a very spiritual person. I've always had a very big connection to Mary Magdalene. Obviously, Shanti and Morné, we all three have that in common, where we love God. We love the spirit realm. We want to know the truth of who we are in relationship to the spirit realm. And I think all three of us we're grandfathered into like a Christian home, which most people in the West are grandfathered into Christian homes. That's the biggest religion of the West, our Westerners. And so we get told these stories over and over and over again. And I'm sure that's true with every religion. Obviously the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, and the Islamic faith share a lot of the origin stories. And so we all know the story of Moses. He told us this story at Sunday school, at Vacation Bible School. We were taught that Moses was this great prophet, this great leader for the Israelites, and went up against the Egyptians. But in my studies, especially starting with King Solomon, when we start to unravel this, the Old Testament is basically following a bloodline. That's what it's doing. It's the same family. It's following a bloodline. Okay. And so everything is starting to fall apart right now. All the stories in every fact and every corner of our life, everything is falling apart right now. Everything. And so I really just ask that for the fundamentalist Christians watching right now. None of us are saying there is no God. all three of us have a deep relationship with God. But what we have to understand is where we've been manipulated, right? And so we have to keep combing back the stories here of these people that we've been taught to venerate. I also want to put it out there too. This is not about the Jewish people either. All of us have been duped. Every single religion under the sun has some sort of infiltration in it. Okay. So this is literally us talking about the controllers. We're talking about the controllers, period, end of story. Not the 99% of us that are just trying to figure it all out. We are all each other's brothers and sisters, period. Absolutely. Doesn't matter if you're white, black, Jewish, purple, red, blue, whatever. We're all each other's brothers and sisters. And we all have to realize where we've been duped. Because again, even though we're talking about a Hebrew faith, this Hebrew faith is also a part of the Christian faith and the Islamic faith too. So it's not just about one group. Okay. So for those of you who don't know who Moses is or not sure about who he was, just a very, very brief Cliff Notes version of who this dude was. So we have to go back a little bit before Moses. We have to go to his ancestors. So there was, if you look at Father Abraham, if you grew up in a church, you probably sang that song, Father Abraham had many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's all praise the Lord. That was the song we had to sing in church growing up. All right. Well, we know Abraham was he was kind of a shisty fellow. He was involved in, we'll say, the carpooling of women. He had multiple wives that did not choose to be his wives. We know that he gathered a lot of wealth, kind of like Solomon did. He is one of Solomon's ancestors. Again, this is a bloodline. He had Isaiah. There's a story in the Bible where God asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaiah. If you read the book of Jubilees, which is a missing book of the Bible, they are very clear that this is Lucifer asking him to do this, not source creator. So let's remember that. Lucifer demands blood. Source creator does not.
Yeah, okay? I agree with that completely.
So this is when we first start to unravel some of this misunderstanding. All right. So through Isaiah, there is or Isaac, there's Jacob. Jacob is Abraham's grandson. And Jacob becomes what we call Israel. He's given the name Israel. And Jacob himself also was involved in the carpooling of women. Rachel, who was his favorite wife, there's a story when he goes to marry Rachel that Rachel's father makes Rachel's sister marry him first. I mean, what little girl is sitting there thinking, yes, I really just want to marry the same man my sister does? Not happening, right? This is let's think about this logically, guys. She wasn't oh, yes, I would love to marry the same man as my sister.
Not in shining armor.
This is so romantic. What do they do? Compare notes after? I mean, I've always wondered about that with sister wives. Do you sit there and compare notes?
It's just so nasty, really.
It's so nasty. Because intimacy with your spouse, your partner, that's private, that's for you and him.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they have conferences? Do they talk about what it smells like? I'm well, how does this work? This is so weird to me. How does this work? And I guarantee you, there is not one little girl that wants that type of a life, right? Especially when you're not the favorite wife. That's got to really suck. Not only do you have to share your husband, but you're not the favorite wife. That sucks. That really sucks. So let's think about this logically. Humans, our human emotions, we don't change, right? That's why we still read old poetry from many years ago, because we're still dealing with the same human emotions. So you have to put yourself in these people's perspective. Well, Jacob, who became Israel, had 12 sons, obviously with all his different wives, right? And to those were what we were told were the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, now we know there are two different tribes of Israel. There's the galactic tribes, which are the Pleiadians, the Lyrians, where most of us come from. Those are the light sides. And then we got the dark ones, which are coming from Jacob. All right, so let's get into this. So Joseph, in his Technicolor Dreamcoat, there was a huge musical. Donny Osborne played Joseph about his Technicolor Dreamcoat. He was Jacob's favorite son. He was the son of Rachel. He ends up getting sold into slavery by his brothers. So this is where we have to pause and think too. Now, my sister and I have a really good relationship. We don't you know, we don't really fight that much at all. Like, especially as adults, we never fight, you know, very good relationship, very even keeled relationship. But when we were little, you know, you get little fights with your siblings when you were little. But never once did it ever occur to me that I could potentially sell her into slavery. Like that never, because it wasn't a part of my reality, right? So obviously these sons are seeing this happen, this carpooling of humans. And so they do that to Joseph. Joseph ends up in Egypt, where he gains a lot of power. He, you know, there's more to the story, guys, but you can go back and read the Bible for this to get the full story. And then they end up finding Joseph and all the whole 12, they all end up in Egypt. And Joseph at this point has a lot of power. Now, historically, this is important to remember, because historically, for people who study this time period, what it appears is that in Egypt, whether that's the Egypt we believe it is today, or whether that's a different location, that's a story for another day. This Egypt was a hodgepodge of multiple different types of ethnicities. And it is my belief that the Egyptian culture at this time was the leftover culture from Atlantis, from the Atlanteans. All right. And so if you look at historically at Egypt, there were white people, there were black people, there were even blue people. I'm not kidding. Like there were blue people, which is wild. I'm sure we're going to see the blue people again soon. I would probably crap my pants though if I saw a blue human, to be honest with you guys. I would probably just crap. I was like, what the hell is this?
Well, I have heard that some people, if they drink too much colloidal silver, literally go blue like Smith. I've actually seen pictures of it. Anyway, maybe it's them.
Maybe that's what they were doing. You know, we talked about the cold therapy. They had all these different tricks they knew from Egypt, you know, but literally if I see a Smurf walking around, I'm going to either think somebody slipped me some acid, or I'm probably going to crap my pants. And I've seen a lot of weird shit in my life, but what? As an orb goes by me. So anyway, so we know that at that point too, according to historians, Israelites, Canaanites, they're the same. Canaanites, Israelites are the same ethnicity of people, were already in Egypt. They were already living there, and they had different, they weren't just a slave class. They weren't just a ruling class. The slave class and the ruling classes and the middle classes, all these different classes of people were a hodgepodge of all different ethnicities, right? So it wasn't that one race was deemed this or one race was deemed the other. Although your Sunday school will have you believe that the Hebrews then became the slave race. That's not true. There were some Hebrews, some Israelites that were in the slave class of Egypt, but not all of them. Not all of them. Okay. There were also white people in the slave class, black people in the slave class. Okay. So we have to understand that. We have to start to untangle that idea of one group of people is being persecuted. That's not true. It's not true. All right. So the story goes, Moses is Jacob or Israel's great grandson. Again, this is a bloodline. This is a bloodline. All right. What have we learned about bloodlines in these past couple of years? All right. So the story goes as they told us in the Bible or in the Torah. So Moses was responsible for the first 5 books of the Old Testament, which is considered the Torah. That as years went by, the Israelites were growing in number. And so the Egyptians got paranoid. And so they first passed a decree that all the male infants born into the Israelites had to be exposed of. All right. So that's where we get the story of Moses's mother putting him in the basket and putting him in the water behind the bush. And the Pharaoh's daughter finds him, brings him home, and raises him in the court. And so then they go on to tell you in the Bible that Moses didn't know he wasn't Egyptian until later on. He learns that he's actually one of the slave class. He goes off into the desert and does his little jaunting around the desert for many, many years. He comes back. He demands that Pharaoh let my people go. Pharaoh says no. And so God enacts all these 10 different plagues. I think did I send you a picture, Morné, of the 10 different plagues?
Yes.
And so as time is going on and Pharaoh is saying no to Moses, no, I'm not going to let my slaves go. Moses eventually he relents. And this is where we get Passover, because they sent the angel of death to kill the oldest born son. The Israelites put blood on their door, which, hello, that's a blood sacrifice.
Exactly.
Oh, you don't have it?
No, I'm opening it.
Sorry, I just needed to make him a co-host.
Oh, that's okay. I was like, oh, did I not send that one? Anyway, it's very much a soap opera. You can read it in the Bible. It's a telenovela, the drama that goes on between the Moses and the Egyptians, or the Egyptians. So eventually, Pharaoh relents and says, okay, I've had enough. You can take your people. And so the story goes, they get all the way to the Red Sea. They have to cross the Red Sea. They don't know how to cross it. And like Pharaoh and his like gang of Pharaoh guys decide, wait a minute, we changed our mind. This is what the Bible's saying. They're going to go race now after the Israelites. And this is when Moses parts the Red Sea and the Israelites walk across the Red Sea. And then the Egyptians come in and the sea closes and kills all the Egyptians. And then all of a sudden they're in Arabia, where we call like Arabia now. And then Moses goes up onto the mountain and has this like super psychedelic trip where he talks to God, and God gives him the 10 commandments, and he comes down and they're worshiping a calf, yada, yada, yada. So you guys kind of know the story. Yeah. Well, let's wind it back a little bit, because the 6th and 7th book of Moses gives us a very, very different understanding of who Moses was. But before we even talk about the 6th and 7th book of Moses, I want to talk about something called the Och Moses Tablet. Now, I think I sent you, Morné, a picture of Och Moses. Och Moses, no, that's the 10 Commandments. We'll get to that. So Och Moses, it's a dead guy. It's the Pharaoh. Och Moses was the Pharaoh allegedly during the time of Moses, okay? And the word Och Moses means the brother of Moses, all right? That's a lot, Och Moses, okay? Now, he has a tablet. He wrote a story that was found in 1947. And very quickly, after the Och Moses tablet was found, the Cairo Museum said, oh, we need to hide this. We need to hide this. No, we need to hide this. We can't let people see this. And so it's in the basement of the Cairo Museum. Now, I'm sure they'll tell you that they got to hide it because it's precious. They don't want people seeing, it's too valuable. So I had to go by other historians who have researched and been able to look at the Och Moses tablet. The Och Moses tablet tells the story of Moses, and it records catastrophes that happened in Egypt. We are told, us little people, us whatever, mindless eaters, is that what they call us, the mindless eaters? We are told. Feeders, that's it. We're the feeders. Us mindless feeders are told that the Egyptians worshipped multiple gods and the Israelites worshipped one God. Well, according to the Och Moses, which is also stuff that Jordan Maxwell, the late Jordan Maxwell, would talk about, the Egyptians worshipped one God and the Israelites worshipped multiple gods. This is in the Bible because they called their God El, which this is short for what? The Elohim. We spoke about the Elohim last week. Elohim is multiple. There are good Elohim, but there are also bad Elohim. The bad Elohim are the middleman between humans and Lucifer. So the bad Elohim require things like sacrifices, like Passover, putting the blood on the door. This is where we get the word elder, like an elder in your church, to elevate. We also know that the Hebrew alphabet is what eventually turned into Latin. And we know that Latin is the dark language, where Sanskrit is its counterpart, the light language, the mirrored language, okay? So the Och Moses tablet basically speaks of how this dude Moses, and the word Moses translates to Moshe, which translates to Magus, which translates to master magician. Is what Moses means. A master, a sorcerer, just like Solomon was a sorcerer. Now, some of the early paintings and structure and sculptures of Moses depicted him with horns. I think I sent you a picture of that. Yes. I didn't know that until I started researching these spell books. Nobody ever told me that in Vacation Bible School, that the original paintings, and there's so many of them, guys. You can Google this. Like, there are so many pictures of him and sculptures of him with horns. There's one
Wow.
painting that I saw on a commentary that I couldn't find myself, but it showed him worshiping. Not only did he have horns, but it showed him worshiping a god with horns. Okay. So Moses was the name Moses means master magician, master sorcerer. He comes from a line of sorcerers, starting with Abraham, which we're going to get to. And he passes down this black magic. Yes, this is black magic all the way to Solomon. From Solomon, this turned into the priest having this black magic. And then it turned into the Christian popes and clergy having access to the black magic, and the 13 bloodline families, which are the real tribes of Israel, having access to the sorcery. So what happened historically, what we know is that at some point around the time that historians think this happened, there was a mass exodus of a group of people from Egypt. But they were not fleeing. They were asked to leave. The pharaohs asked them to leave. Why? Because Moses, who was a magician, a sorcerer, who was the head of a coven, was doing all sorts of shit to the Egyptians to try to take the power back to the dark side. Because again, guys, the Egyptians were the descendants of the Atlanteans. When Shanti and I get into Tartaria and possibly touch a little bit on Atlantis, they knew the truth. There was nothing hidden. Everybody knew what source creator was. There was no religions. It was all a knowing. And the Egyptians held that information. And Moses came in. He was not adopted by the pharaohs as a baby. He was already born into a powerful family of Israelites, because not all Israelites were slaves. And he basically waged war against the pharaohs. Now, the 10 Commandments, we touched on this last week. The 10 Commandments come from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And I think that picture you just threw up. So we'll talk about that soon. So the Egyptian book, here we go. This is from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Now the original name, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, is the modern name that we call it. It's the modern name. And the reason why we call it the Egyptian Book of the Dead is because this was a book. It started off as paintings on the wall, and then it became a book. It's a book of prayers, and it's a book of information about the next life, how to transmute through the next life, right? And the original title was The Book of Emerging Forth into the Light. The Book of Emerging Forth into the Light. So for the Egyptians, the idea of death was a necessary transition to move forth into the light, to go back to source.
Yes.
And these 10 Commandments were in the Book of the Dead. Well, our friend Stephanie brought up a good point. So all of these things that Moses was doing to the Egyptian people were all black magic for Lucifer, to try to take control of the Egyptians, because the Egyptians held the true information about the true God. They were worshiping one God, not multiple. The Israelites were worshiping the multiple gods.
Wow, Bryce, sorry to interrupt. It's just, isn't it amazing again how when we start uncovering these truths,
once you see it, you can't unsee it. It makes sense. The true story makes a lot more sense. So we've been taught that the Egyptians were the bad guys. We've been taught all this. It's all you have to. What did the military back channel say? Mirror everything. Mirror everything. It's all been flipped. The God of the Bible is Lucifer, right? Because Lucifer, we're going to get to that with the Sphynx Prophecy in a minute. So Moses stole the 10 Commandments from the Book of the Dead, or the Book of Emerging Forth into the Light. And he created this story about how God gave them these commandments on Mount Sinai, which isn't true. That's a lie. He stole it. Well, my friend Stephanie brought up a good point. So we've been saying here in this truther community, and I've been guilty of saying this too. We just need a Red Sea moment. We just need a Red Sea moment. Stop saying that, guys. We don't need a Red Sea moment. The Red Sea was not a God moment. The Red Sea moment was a black magic spell casting that involved sacrificing Egyptians. So what happened? They asked them to leave because they had done all this shit to them. Moses and his coven steals this information from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, or the Book of Emerging Forth into the Light. and takes that becomes the Ark of the Covenant, right? He takes it. All of a sudden, the Egyptians realize that he has stolen one of their most important books. So the chariots chasing after the Hebrews were them trying to get their freaking book back. They were trying to get their book back. And so then Moses cast a spell, black magic spell, to part the Red Sea so they can get through the Red Sea. Well, the promise to Lucifer to get them through the sea was that they would have the Egyptians. So once the sea swallows up the Egyptians, that's a sacrifice. That was a human sacrifice. All those Egyptians were doing was trying to get their damn book back. They didn't try to hurt the Israelites. They weren't going to try to kill them. They were just going to let them go. They just asked them to leave. They just wanted their book back. And they ended up being used as a sacrifice. We do not need a Red Sea moment. That's what the cabal wants. The cabal wants a Red Sea moment, not us. All right. So we have to start seeing this as it is. Okay. Now, what is the Egyptian Book of the Dead? Got so many notes here. I was like, when I was researching this, I was like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Like, what the hell is happening? All right. So the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it's a book that was written, a lost book, one of the lost books written by Moses. Now the the 6th and 7th book of Moses started to show back up in regular human society at the end of the 18th century in Germany. All right. It's there we go. It's two secret books. And now if you buy this book now, it includes a commentary of essays and other writings by people who practiced the magic in this book for years. And I've been honest, like with some of these books, I will only look at commentaries and read commentaries. I don't want to read the books myself because I don't want to be reading any spells. That's just something I'm very superstitious about at this point. So I'll read the commentaries. So it basically says since the biblical times, the time of Moses, all the way up to now, this book has been used it is the blackest of black magic. It is worse than the freaking Necronomicon, this book. All right. It contains secret magic. Now it says from Moses all the way to Solomon, then to the priest. It spells to conjure demons. It talks about the parting of the Red Sea, using demons to part the Red Sea, and how to defeat the Pharaoh, how to defeat the people of light, the people of the light. All right. It was written specifically for Canaanite magicians. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing too, guys. So we look deeper into this. So the sixth book tells you how to conjure both good and bad spirits and how to use the planets to manipulate what you want, which we know Saturn has been manipulated. Saturn's original template is not what they've used it for. Okay. Now, why do they want to manipulate both the good and the bad spirits? Well, that is because it is said that whoever is using this book controls both heaven and hell. This is why the angels are also pissed and are really hardcore with this right now. They have been held in bondage as well, according to this book. And we know if we go back to the Bible, we know that source creator, God, the God of light, made a deal with Lucifer and said, I'll let you have reign over this dimension, this planet, whatever we're standing on, for a certain amount of time. So that makes sense to me that then the angels would also be in bondage too. And this also gives us knowledge as to why certain families, there's a certain banking family whose last name starts with an R. I won't say the name because of censorship, but I believe, it is my opinion, that this is their bloodline. The R family.
By the way, the R family in German, it means red shield, just by the way.
And the Grand Grimoire is the red dragon, right? So this is they're having us venerate them, guys, in our churches, in our temples. They're having us venerate their bloodline of black sorcerers. All right.
It's insane, Bryce, when you see what they've actually been doing and how the manipulation has occurred, right? Because all the time they're showing us, but without the knowledge, because they have to show us. That's part of that's part of what they do, part of how it has to be for them. But so oblivious to what's actually, the majority of us are so oblivious to what's been going on. They're doing it, and we kind of just hypnotized by all of this and just carry on regardless. And as you say, we are venerating them all the time, right?
And we should not do that, guys. Like the Egyptians were the ones that were trying to be fair, okay? And they were the ones bringing the information. I mean, we talked about the cold therapy. They had all these how to heal people naturally, how to, and it got inverted. And they were telling us they put blood on their door. Y'all, that's what Passover is. They put blood on their door. Where'd that blood come from? It wasn't spray paint. They had to sacrifice something. We know with the Temple of Solomon, they were doing sacrifices in front of the Ark of the Covenant, stolen and inverted from the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Yeah,
but we need to wake up. Like it's so obvious. So it talks about full moon magic. All right. We know that they use the moon. We know that they know how to do this, right? It talks about how to control fame and wealth and how to have power. These are our families. Well, most of these families that are part of this controller group, they've gotten away literally with murder all these years. If you don't pay your parking ticket as a 99%, if you don't pay your parking ticket, you could get arrested. But yet they're freaking getting away. This is why, guys, they've had this spell book. They've had someone else who had this spell book, Constantine the Great. Hello, for the Christians out there that still think the missing books of the Bible are not supposed to be read, study the Council of Nicaea. That was censorship by Constantine the Great because he was a Satanist. He was not a Christian. That whole story of him seeing the vision, no, he even tells on himself in his Ark of Constantine. There's no Jesus on there. He was Mithraic. He took this Christian faith and he merged it with a faith called Mithraism, which is a faith that involves sacrifices. Study Mithraism. You're being duped. You're being played to worship human sacrifice. They're tricking you because eventually they're going to have to tell you who they are, right? And if they've already tricked you into this and you've already been taking the communion and doing all this stuff.
Yeah, you're already there.
You're already there. Guys, knowledge is power. I'm not telling you this stuff to scare. I'm not telling this to scare you guys. We're all coming from the same place. I grew up thinking Moses was a hero. We're all coming from the same place. But I'm here to tell you the real God, the source God, the true God is so much better. And if you read Revelation 21, it talks about that. The true God coming back to earth. The true God, not the God of the Bible, because the God of the Bible is Lucifer. But in Revelation chapter 21, it talks about the true God coming back to the earth and in the birth of how the old system will be no more. The old earth, the old heaven will die and the new earth will be here. Okay. So look at these words. They're telling you guys. All right.
I just want to ask, if you don't mind, I just want to chime in and I say this so often, it really, if we think about, as we say the Bible, Lucifer came from heaven, was God's angel, and he was banished and God gave him dominion over the earth. Now let that sink in. So anyone who thinks that the Luciferians are not governing this earth, let that sink in. So what does that really mean to us? Of course, it means that Lucifer's top generals or whatever, because we understand that the Luciferians love to do things in a military fashion. It's all about rank and bloodlines. And oh my goodness, it's insane what I've learned. But, so it's like, when we look at those bloodlines and, like the rank type stuff that they're doing, it's completely controlled, right? And it's completely manipulated. It's completely sorted in the way that, as I said, with that military precision.
Yeah.
And, I think even though we're looking at the difference between having something with military precision and something that is structured. Do you know what I'm saying? So when we are doing something that is structured and it's going and it's flowing and it's moving, that's generally coming from a good place. But that whole military precision thing, I think for me, is always an issue. And I mean, the name Moses, right? That name is who would have thunk? I've never heard this, what you're talking about before, Bryce.
Honestly. I didn't know. I never thought about the name Moses until I looked it up.
Yeah. I've known about it. I've known about the Magnus, Moses meaning Magnus.
Magus.
Yeah, Magus. Sorry, my accent. Yeah.
It's just
Magus.
like they're like, his name meant he was like the head of a coven. So, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you guys. I know there are going to be Christians that are upset with this. But I mean, don't be upset with us. Like, look it up for yourself. His name means, it's like he had a name tag that said, hello, I'm a Luciferian.
Exactly.
They're telling you. You're right. They have to tell you. And
we're not surprised when we're looking at, sorry, that's what I was saying, got a little bit sidetracked there. We're not surprised when we understand that Lucifer has been given dominion over the earth. So, of course, Lucifer, all the top positions that comes to the things that control our weaknesses, guys, remember Lucifer is representing, or Lucifer represents humanity's shadow self. So, money,
fame,
fortune, power, greed. So in the banking industry, okay, fame such as your movie stars and your singers and what have you, of course, and the business world. So you've got and the military. Look at the military, right?
Yeah.
Military and how the military runs its operations with their MK Ultra programs and stuff like that, mind controlling guys to go and do what they want, the judicial system, all of these high ranking positions.
The church even, the church has these
that's what I was going to say, the churches.
Yeah.
So churches have been the biggest place of infiltration. And what they've really done is they've used that. So of course, the planet is satanic. It's governed by satanic principles. We are here as guests, actually, as loud guests. And I say that with inverted commas, because before coming here, we know what we're letting ourselves in for. We know what we're coming into. We understand that. So it's very...
In reality, they're not lying to you. They're telling you like that our God is Lucifer.
All the time.
And you're just, and I think that there's a lot of MK Ultra in churches too, to make you really, and I just have to remind people, like, your faith, we need to walk away from this idea of religion, in my opinion, because that's all structured, like you're saying, like it's a structured, faith is something completely different. Being able to stand in your sovereign spiritual nature is something completely different, where no one else is governing that but you. And yeah, they're telling the blood on the door, everything. Go back and relook at this, guys. Like I said the same thing with Solomon. If you just read, somebody asked me what one of my sources was for Solomon, and the Bible.
Yeah,
the Bible.
Absolutely.
It's in your Bible.
And no one knows the Bible better than these guys. No one knows how to work with energy better than these guys. No one knows how to work with the chakras better than these guys. No one knows how to invert everything. And I'm loving this. And I definitely want to have a discussion with you about this whole Egypt thing. I've always known that, I mean, you'll see on the Solutions channel, there's the picture of the Ankh there. And of course, the Ankh has been my symbol for many, many, many years that I work with. You see, hello, there it is.
Yep. It's the original cross. The Christians stole that from the Ankh.
Yes.
The Ankh of ISIS. Yeah.
But hang on, according to Krita Mutwe, who was one of South Africa's, he was Africa's most highly ordained Sangoma. I mean, this guy was something phenomenal. He actually passed away, I think, at the age of 92. I think a day or two before lockdown began. And according to him, the Ankh is coming from sub-Saharan Africa, because according to him, this is where the original people stemmed from. And if you've actually listened to our interview with Rasul Snyman a few years ago, he's a direct descendant of the Khoisan tribe. They talk about this. And he said it was, the Ankh was immortalized by the Egyptians, but it comes from sub-Saharan Africa. And it makes a lot of sense to me, because even if you're looking, the African cultures were here before the Egyptians. The Egyptians are obviously Africans, but the original people were long before the Egyptians. So they were.
Well, that's why we haven't, like, if you guys, there's an Isis temple in the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
all of these things were connected.
Yes.
We're going to get into that with Tartaria. Like, what they have taught us our history is not true.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So yeah, 100%. And it's, so once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like, once you wake up, no one becomes we'll just use their term, conspiracy theorist. No one becomes a conspiracy theorist and then goes back to being a normie. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And we just want the truth. And I had someone comment on my channel about, like, y'all, we're not saying there is no God. Actually, all of this research makes me even closer, feel even a stronger relationship with my creator. Because that's the thing, in the Christian church, we're taught to fear God. I never feared God. Never. Once did I fear God.
Like since, like ever. I mean, God was like, I was alone in my whole life. I was like lonely, but the one person I had was God. And it's like, even when it was bad, I was like looking at God, like speaking with God. You know, it's like I never felt like I had to fear God. That's the loss.
No, I never felt like I had to apologize to God too for being me. Like, even in times when I knew I screwed up big time, I knew I had to apologize to the person, but I always just felt that loving embrace, just unbountiful love. And that,
you know, I agree, Bryce. There's something you feel, you know, and I've often mentioned, and as by now I'm sure our viewers will know, that has been a trigger for me in this life, being born with a gift and literally being told Jesus hates me and I'm a child of the devil because of it. That's what I was grown up with. So for many years, I was frustrated by that. And one day I remember just yelling in despair to God, and I'm saying, well, how do I know that this is you speaking to me? I've never doubted it, but, you know, there were so many questions and people that just like, and as clear as crystal, the words came through to me, pretty much telling me, because you've never, ever been asked to hurt anything or harm anyone. In fact, the contrary, you are completely warned against that and you know, encouraged not to do that. So for me, that is so true, because God, how do you know you've connected with God? Whatever. It's simple. You never asked to manipulate anything. You never asked to hurt anyone or harm anyone. You are just aligned to the light. You do what you do in look, if you are getting a divorce and your partner doesn't want to get a divorce, for example, of course, that's going to hurt the partner. But when you are in your integrity, knowing that this is for the best of both of you, because you're just not there anymore, whatever, you're just not invested in the relationship. Of course, it's going to hurt the person, but the intention is for the highest good. Yeah. So the intention always needs to be for the highest good. And I think this is, you know, we've got to really learn how to discern these things, because as we're realizing now, I mean, who would have thunk that Moses was part of the cabal, you know, probably one of the forerunners.
I know. Well, I think the controllers knew that.
Yeah.
I think they laugh at us. Well, actually, I'll bring this up too. So in the 6th and 7th book of Moses, we have to be careful, guys, about what types of prayers we're saying too in the church. Because in the 6th and 7th book of Moses, there are spells that invoke demonic names like Jehovah. There's a whole list of them. And I was reading through it and I was like, holy shit, these are names that we were taught in church. And so they're getting us to repeat these prayers that are incantations. And they're harvest, just like they harvest energy at a sporting event.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're doing it at the churches, not just the, I mean, I think the reason why I come down so hard on Christianity is because that's the religion I know the best, because that was the religion I was born into. Right. And so, but this is for all religions. You know, this is for everything. You have to start to look at this.
Anything, any fundamentalist, anything that's fundamentalist is not good. You know, really. And I honestly think that as we move along, we're going to realize that more and more people will realize it's not okay to be judging anyone else for their belief system. You know, there's a beautiful Hindu saying that says there are many roads that lead to the top of the mountain. Yeah. And the only one making a fool or an idiot, or the only idiot, is the one running around to everyone telling them that their road is the wrong road.
Exactly. And that's what they've done. They divided us. They've divided us. It's so funny. I was saying with my friend Stephanie, I was like, I get, you know, death threats from Christians on like a daily basis. It's kind of comical now by bringing this stuff up. I've never gotten one from a Hindu. I've never gotten one from a Buddhist. I've never gotten one from a Muslim. I've never gotten one from a Jewish person. It's always but they're doing that to intentionally. And the Bible does say you will know them by their fruits. So you have to ask yourself, is your behavior representative of that, of somebody serving a God of love? Or is your behavior of someone serving Lucifer?
Despite all your glitz and your glam and your bling and what have you, you know, you will know. I mean, are you a sweet, juicy fruit?
Or are you, if you're that nasty, no one wants to be around you anyway. Like, you know, so you have to be careful about this stuff. Now there is in the 6th and 7th book, they work with seal, signs, symbolism, like we are now learning. They work with incantations, portals, conjuring, and how to open gates. And y'all, there's I think I sent you the picture of the White House, Morné.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Now we divined on this.
Talking about spiritual gates, yeah?
Yeah. Somebody took a picture of a gate of hell opening up above the White House. Now we divined on this. You can see it. We divined on this. This is actually coming from the good guys. So now we know that these families, this book is now being used against these families, which is amazing. So I just wanted to show you guys that portals exist. Portals are real. Now, and my understanding though, in like the positive, a lot of the portal work actually comes through the human body of owning your own light, owning your own sovereignty, but they're also the macro and the micro. But so y'all want to go to the Sphynx Prophecy now? This is real exciting.
I am dying to hear about that.
So you guys, the Sphinx of Egypt closed its eyes. How the hell did that happen, right? So now this was going around the internet a few days ago and everyone's like, oh, it's photoshopped. It's photoshopped. No, I sent Morné a video. Somebody took a video of the Sphinx. It's not photoshopped. So y'all, I mean, that gives me chill bumps. Not only did it close its eyes, but its lips are pursed now. Eyes are closed, lips are pursed. So and she doesn't speak in the video. She's just showing you on camera that this is not photoshopped, that the Sphinx closed its fucking eyes after all these years.
That's like the most absurd thing I've ever come across in my entire life. When did this happen? I've never even heard of this.
It's a few days ago, and the media is dead silent on it. Anytime
a few days ago, no way.
Very recently. And every time somebody puts up the pictures, they're like, no, it's photoshopped. And then somebody went and took their freaking iPhone and was like, this is a video. The eyes are closed. The Sphinx closed its eyes. So this took me a while to dig, but I found, because now people are like, why the hell did this Sphinx? I mean, y'all, if I were a journalist, I would be like, buy me a ticket to Egypt. Something really gnarly just happened.
Yes, of course.
But the media is dead silent. They're not even talking about this. Why aren't they talking about the Sphinx closing its eyes and pursing its lips? So the prophecy goes, the Sphynx prophecy, from what I understand, what I could find, is the Egyptians said that when the Sphinx closed its eyes, that meant that the God of this world was done and was about to turn on his people. Again, I ask you, who is the God of this world?
Wow,
Lucifer.
Bright. Of course.
Time is to end.
So this means a timeline shift.
Wow.
This means we're moving into a new timeline. Good for us, bad for the bloodline of Moses. Lucifer, there's no honor amongst thieves. Lucifer will give you fame, money, all that stuff, but he'll turn his back on you.
But there's no loyalty. I mean, there's no loyalty or integrity. It's the complete opposite. It's all about narcissism and self-service, you know.
So if some people talking about this prophecy are freaking out because they're confused about who the God of this world is. The God of this world is not source. Look at all those people's like, what the hell? Like, why is the Sphinx eyes closed? The God of this world is not.
This is insane, Bryce. This is insane.
Crazy.
And no one will touch it. No one in the media will touch it. I mean, I'm telling you guys, if you were a journalist and you found this, wouldn't you be like, oh my God, this is going to make my career. Oh my God, I have to, the Sphinx closed its eyes. This is almost crazier than seeing an alien invasion. And this is just somebody's iPhone proving to you that this is not photoshopped. So this means, guys, this means the devil is done. The Lucy's are done. It's time to shift into a new timeline. The contract that Lucifer had with Source Creator is over.
The work has been done.
Work has been done. Now we can rest. Now, as the Sphinx is resting now, yes, we can transcend now. We've done our work.
That is unbelievable.
Isn't that wild?
That is so wild.
So if you guys look into the Sphynx Prophecy and you get really scared because they're talking about God of this world turning on his people and destroying his people, just remember, the God of this world is not Source Creator. It's Lucifer. It's Lucifer.
Yeah. Lucifer has dominion over earth, everybody, which is why we've been living such a hellhole, which is why there's been so much poverty, which is why there's been so many wars, which there's been so many plagues and things. You know, Lucifer's unleashed that. Because this has been his playground, you know, and that's been part of the great deception. So, you know, now that we're awake to that, it means that Lucifer can't be doing his dodgy deeds anymore. So really, it is over. This is insane. I mean, wow. I'm sitting here staring at that thing's face. I can't believe that face.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
How many thousands of years has the Sphynx been here? I mean, I don't even trust history anymore. I don't know if they even know the true timeline, but y'all, if you're not a spiritual person, if you don't believe in anything supernatural, how do you explain this?
Wow. That is insane.
How do you explain this? But look how peaceful the Sphynx looks.
Should I tell you my version of the Sphynx, the story behind the Sphynx? Apparently, there was like this tribe in North Africa, Nairobi, I'm not sure, I'm not going to say it right, but there was like a women tribe. They were like hunters. They hunted with cheetahs. So these like women were like running alongside cheetahs, wild cheetahs. They just had this connection with nature. They were like this insane women that were so connected with their intuition. They were like this just amazing women. And one of these females came to Egypt and she channeled information, all the knowledge to the Egyptians. She was this like African tribe, this woman. And apparently her face was used to create the Sphynx because she gave so much information to the Egyptians from Southern Africa before you get to Egypt.
Well, that would make sense then. If you're looking at what Krida Mutwe was saying about the knowledge coming from sub-Saharan Africa, and obviously Africa being the source of the original people, or the original tribes.
They had a connection with spirit. They could just hear spirit. So they could know, they could see, even before we even found Sirius, the planet, and Sirius, the star, They knew about all the other things before we even found that.
Yeah.
So they had a connection with nature, with everything, so they could just channel the information. The laws of physics, the laws of mathematics, everything like that came from sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, that's why they deleted the Black community stuff, and it's because of all the African kings and queens and advanced civilizations before the white people even got there.
Yeah. I mean, but I think we're starting to tap back. I mean, I know I have auto clairvoyance. That's what's called. I hear Magdalene's been speaking to me since I was 16 years old, and I hear her, like I actually hear her. And you're right, Shanti, it's not a demonic spirit, because she's never asked me to do anything that would hurt myself or anybody else. It's always been love, 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 love. You're safe. You're loved. Do this. It's for love, you know? So I think we're all starting to get back online again with being able to tap in. I think we all have these abilities to speak to the stars and to speak to, but we've lost that. And now we're starting to find that again. So,
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, no, but I haven't even seen any other truthers talking about the Sphynx, what happened. It's crazy, but like, yay, guys, like, yay.
But that is so well worth the research. I'm definitely going to be looking further into that.
It took a lot of time because no one wants to talk about it. And those who are talking about it are freaking out because they think that means we're all going to be destroyed, because they're confused over who the God of this world is. So for me, that means it's like a pat on the back from God, true source, saying, you done good. Now you can
exactly rest. Because we know that the Dark Lord rules over Earth, or not rules, governs. Maybe there's a difference in what you're saying there.
And now his contract is over.
Yeah.
And I think that like the Sphynx is resting now. You can now you've transmuted. You've worked through this. You've taken the opportunity to see the shadow side of yourself that has been presented in this polarized planet, and you've bettered yourself. You've understood more about who you are. And now, like the Sphynx, you can rest. It's time to rest. Wow. I don't actually think it's the time. I actually think when shit hits the fan, we're going to be having to work even harder to help people not lose their crap. So maybe just rest today, because you might be needed tomorrow. So it's good news, guys. Though it's like, you know, for a lot of us on this journey, we're so exhausted. We're so ready for something to happen. We're so tired of being made fun of. And sometimes I think even for me, it's like, is this worth it? Is it worth it? And then you see something like that, and you're like, fuck yeah, it's worth it. Look what just happened. The Sphynx closed its eyes. The Sphynx closed its eyes. How did that happen? There's so much more magic to this world, good magic, than we are magic. We are good magic. We are for the light.
Supernatural. Yeah.
So it's exciting. It's good things are on the horizon, guys. Doesn't mean there's not going to be a little bit more static getting there, but it means that we're on the right path of a new timeline. A new timeline.
It's all about settling in now and balancing and stuff like that. That's really what we have to do. Yeah. And finding our feet and recalibrating, starting our community, starting a whole new way of doing things, being prepared to let stuff go, attachments and things, being prepared to share, because I think there might be a lot of those who are in trouble for a little while. So being prepared to share resources, homes if necessary, anything like that. I do think there's a transitional time coming. There always is. I think that's just the way that it goes. Yeah. And as human beings, we're still in that space where we need a little bit of chaos before we can create change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the real magic happens when every individual needs to go through their chaos in order for them to finally accept their godparent, or forgive their mother, or love their crazy child, or whatever. So I think the real magic is happening when we need chaos right now, because we need to get out of our own issues. So forgive your mother, go love your father, go forgive that enemy, and start getting to know your neighbor. I mean, that's the basic stuff of being one, living in a universe where we're all connected. Stop denying the parts of you, which is God in that sense, because God is everything. God is like all connected. So we need to learn to stop judging darkness, stop judging the devil. He's got his part to play as well. And stop putting Jesus on a pedestal.
Right.
I mean, Jesus doesn't want that.
No, he
Jesus
doesn't want that. He came to me in a dream.
Sitting with you and chilling with you. Yeah.
Joshua came to me in a dream once, and he sat beside me and he said, I can't come back until people stop worshiping me.
That makes sense. It's completely sense. I got that like a few years ago. It's like, but I'm not going to share it. But Jesus was also like, he's like, wait until they realize this. And I was just laughing at him. And it makes sense what you said, Bryce. It's very the darkness way of doing it. Sacrifice yourself. You are not worthy. Only through God you are worthy. And that's not what the Creator God thinks of us. We are so worthy. We're so loved. We don't have to sacrifice.
We are so loved.
Only sacrifices we need to make is those that we need to make within ourselves. You know,
for our actual highest good.
Yeah, that is what the darkness is inverting to make it an external thing, when in fact it's an internal sacrifice, not an external sacrifice.
Your karma, the stuff that you got to go through in this life, that's your work. That's not a bad thing. You can't put it off on someone else.
That's your goal.
That's how you grow and change.
Exactly. Like that's your goal.
Your karma's just your work. You know, that's all it is. And no one can do it for you but you. If you don't do it this life, you'll do it next life. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to stay there until you actually unpack it. So absolutely. But it's exciting times, guys. And as always, I would recommend everyone doing their own research too. It's pretty easy to find this information. They're not trying to hide it too hard. So I think they don't hide it that hard because they want to laugh at us. Like, these idiots don't even realize what they're doing, you know? So we're going to take our power back. Yeah.
Well, I must say, on the light side of this, Moses, at least, although he like sacrificed all the humans, at least he took all the animals with. There must be something good there.
No, you're not talking about Moses. You're talking about Noah. Noah took the animals.
Oh, goodness. Sorry. Yes.
Well, Noah is one of their lineage too. So.
Oh, my goodness. That's another story for another day.
Another story for another day, guys. Another story for another day.
Moses is the one that opened the seas. The other one traveled over the seas.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and actually, I'm being guided next week we're going to step away from spell books for a minute and look at one subject that has to do with Joshua and Mary Magdalene next week, and possibly Tartaria too. So I'm Magdalene told me to look into it. So I'm going to research that this week because I'm excited about that.
Okay.
I look forward to hearing about that. Absolutely. Wow. Bryce, again, thank you so much. Very interesting. And again, knowledge is power, guys. I would rather know the stuff than not know about it. You don't have to go digging in and suddenly getting your little hubble bubble toil and trouble kit together. It really is just to know what's going on and what's out there and what we've been duped with and how we've been duped, you know. I mean, it's just like peeling off the layers now. Yeah. It's ludicrous. I mean, it's now just a big fat joke that they've gone to such extremes over so many eons to try and deceive us, and it hasn't worked because here we are.
Smart. We figured it out. We're figuring it out.
It is so beautiful to have you, Bryce, and I so look forward to Wednesday, guys. Bryce and I are going to be doing talking about Tartaria.
Yes.
So join us on Wednesday on Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa. And that's going to be 5 p.m. my time, which is GMT +2. And Bryce, I think that's 11 a.m. for you, right?
Noon. You're 6 hours ahead of me?
6 hours ahead.
Yeah, noon. I'll probably double check that many times because this is Mercury retrograde, but I believe that's noon Eastern time.
No, that's 11. If you 6 hours, 11.
Wait.
It's an hour later than now.
Now it's 12 because it's 11:18 a.m. here right now.
Oh, okay.
This isn't our strong suit, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Time change, time zones. and then politics in between, it gets confusing.
And then the Sphynx closed its eyes. Like there's a lot. Math is hard, guys. Math is hard. So.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Take it easy. And if you haven't already, please give us a like, a share, and a subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Telegram. Morné is going to give you all the details below. Follow us on ODYSEE, follow us on Rumble. As I say, please go and subscribe to the Rumble channel. We're going to be moving over more and more to Rumble as we go along, because Elon Musk does not want to buy YouTube. I'm trying to get Elon to buy YouTube so that our channel stops getting struck down.
But Twitter's fun now. Twitter got fun.
I sent Elon a message on Twitter. He's ignoring me. I'm mortified.
Come on, Elon. Come on, you're South African boy. Come on now.
Come join us on the show. Come join us on the show.
Please, at least.
You can't
having a channel struck down. Every second video is getting struck.
Come on, Eli, buy YouTube, because Twitter is really fun now. So
lovely, beautiful, guys. God bless you all. Take good care, and we'll see you on Wednesday back with BRICE on Solutions on Tartary.